The sun rises straight up into a cloudless dawn sky. Its light is diffused by the mist, but still makes delicious shadows between the trees. The sea is calm, but ruffled by a slight fresh breeze. Voices carry across the water from a group of early morning paddleboarders far out in the bay and a pair of swimmers closer inshore. The sand is pockmarked with the activity from yesterday. In the chiaroscuro, it looks like some ancient battlefield. I think it's time to go in and have a cuppa.
Hello, I'm Peter John Cooper. Pandemic and the various lockdowns have done strange things to all of us. But visitors are back on the beach and the West Cliff, and its residents are still there. Still with their foibles and oddnesses. Today's tale from the cliff edge is about one of the oddest. It's called Poom, Poom. She always seemed to be there, starched meringue of blonde hair piled high on her head, not hanging about exactly, but just there. Every time you popped down the steps for a bit of a breather on the green, there she'd be, as if by magic. And she seemed to know everyone. At least she always seemed to be talking to someone, her voice loud and unchecked, echoing off the buildings, so that she became a sort of radio station for all sorts of tidbits and gossip. And one day, towards the end of the pandemic, when I slipped out for a breather and I thought there was no one else about, she pounced.
Why you look so gloomy? Sun is shining.
Well, I think everyone looked a bit gloomy, having been in lockdown for some weeks, but as it happened, I wasn't feeling troubled by that, but by an email that had arrived a few minutes before. Oh, you know, this and that.
I do not know. You tell me.
Well, things in general.
You British! You have money troubles?
Well, I certainly wasn't going to talk about my financial situation with someone I hardly knew. Mind you, I wasn't going to talk about my financial situation with someone I did know. That was strictly between me and me. But there was something about her directness that impelled a response. Global warming, I said eventually, as a sort of catch-all misery, a topic that seemed fairly safe at the time. And I certainly wasn't going to dive down the COVID rabbit hole. I wanted my exercise time to be just that, not standing about saying how awful everything was. Perhaps, in retrospect, global warming was a bad idea, but I couldn't think of anything else. I expected her to say,
"Oh, yes,"
and let me pass on, but not Marissa. Was that her name? No idea. I just made it up for this story. We tend not to know each other's names here on the West Cliff. Marissa would do, I suppose. She spoke with a sort of Eastern European accent that was impossible to place. Marissa was the sort of person you could hear out in the street talking to anyone who caught her attention. During lockdown, she would be at the point of a triangle of a couple of others, socially distant, who were on their way to the daily exercise. I once heard her addressing a pair of other women.
"This nail varnish, it does not suit you. Your husband need to get you something brighter." Bink, you tell him.
And turning to the other,
Why you wear the same shoes every day? I see you every morning, same shoes.
we're only going for a jog round the green.
You only have one pair of trainers? Where I lived, I had 85 pairs of trainers.
Well, I don't think my husband would like it if I had 85 pairs of trainers. And the two women giggled together.
I had husband. He bought me 85 pairs of trainers because he loved me and because he was important man. I have to have 85 pairs of trainers, otherwise no one respect him.
There was an awkward silence.
I don't wear trainers now. He was disappeared. Poom, poom.
She mimed a couple of six-shooters. The awkward silence deepened and the two women shuffled off, trying to look back. What country that might be was a matter of some conjecture. I had heard her say a number of times she'd come to England after the fall of the Iron Curtain. She always spoke as if escaping here had been something of a come-down for her. There was always a note of exasperation in her voice, and she employed it to the full when talking to me.
Global warming. Pah!
She did actually say "pa," like they do in comic books.
Pah! Global warming. Your government is not doing anything.
Now, don't get me wrong. I am absolutely no apologist for our current government, but I did feel they were making some effort.
We had no global warming in our country.
Well, no, perhaps not. Our government are planning to ban petrol cars by somewhen.
Perhaps nothing. We had cleanest air in the whole world.
Oh?
Back then we had no petrol cars or diesel cars, no cars at all.
Well, that's good. Good public transport.
Everybody had donkey cart.
I'm not sure people here would give up their cars in exchange for a donkey cart, would they?
You have a police force. Make them. We pay for police out of our taxes, no? Make them.
But
With guns. Your police force, very weak. Give them guns. They make people drive donkeys. No more global warming. Poom, poom.
and for a moment I thought, she has a sense of humour. Yes, I said, Poom, Poom, and went on my way. Next time I crept out for my allotted R&R on the West Cliff, she was there again.
Always you looking miserable.
Well, I didn't think I'd go down the political route again. Oh, you know.
No, you keep saying I know. You English. How I know?
Oh, bills.
You have bills? We had no bills where I come from.
She levelled her six-shooters again.
Poom, poom.
Yes, I wish I could.
You tell me.
Oh, well, I took the car in for a service. They're charging me a lot more than I think they should.
Which garage?
Oh, you know, the one over the back. I waved my arm vaguely.
I know. I have friends. I fix.
Yes, ha, Poom, Poom, I said.
Yes. Poom, poom.
It suddenly occurred to me that I had revealed far more of my life than I would have done to anyone else. She had a knack of direct questioning that meant you couldn't hide behind British Reserve. I know that behind the Iron Curtain, information was the currency. Everyone spied on everyone else. Children spied on parents, wives on husbands. At the police headquarters would be filing cabinets of what I reported about you, and more filing cabinets with what you said about me. And if there was too much of either, one of you could get suddenly disappeared. Like her husband. Poom, Poom. The next time we met, she was sitting out on one of the benches reading.
Your English writers. Pah!
Oh, I'm sorry. Which ones?
Your Jane Austen. She needs to tell Mr. Darcy straight. Poom, poom.
Yes, that would shorten the book a great deal.
Your Thomas Hardy. I like a little. Tess Durrell. She kill man who make her unhappy.
Well, she was driven to it. Poom, poom, I said.
But the ending. Your Thomas Hardy, he missed out. Why she let herself be taken at Stonehenge? It is good place for shootout. Plenty of cover in the stones. She could die in hail of bullets and a blaze of glory.
And I had a vision of the magnificent shootout at the end of Tess of the D'Urbervilles, with Tess and Angel each armed with assault rifles and bandanas of ammunition in position behind the ancient stones, whilst the police slowly advanced from all sides across the plain, gradually closing in with a ring of steel. The superintendent stands up, megaphone in hand.
Mrs. Derbyfield, we have reason to believe you may be able to help us win our inquiries relating to the recent death by stabbing of one Alec D'Urberville Esquire.
Tess fires a volley from behind one of the venerable megaliths.
Now, we would ask you to accompany us to the local police station. If you come quietly, no one will get hurt.
Another volley, this time from Angel. Do your worst, copper. I would not live for people to despise me. I am ready, yells Tess, standing on a fallen sarsen, hair streaming in the morning breeze like a flag of triumph. The superintendent stands and points the megaphone, but Tess is in an ecstasy of sudden freedom, pours a magazine straight into him. He falls back, megaphone riddled like a colander. Right, lads, shouts his junior, let him have it. And the ring of steel tightens, answering each burst of automatic gunfire with a fusillade after fusillade as they advance inwards. The firing is now continuous, a huge din ripping the dawn air of this magical place apart. The air is thick with chips and splinters flying off the ancient stones until finally there are no more shots from the stone circle itself. As the junior officer arrives, puffing with exertion, he finds the two bodies lying entwined in each other's arms, riddled with bullets, and the smoke hanging heavy in the morning air. The President of the Immortals and the Wessex Constabulary have ended their sport with Tess. Poom. Poom. And as a Hardy fan, I have to admit it would probably have made a better ending than the one in the book.
And how's your bill with the garage?
Well, actually, that's a bit of a coincidence. I had an email from them soon after we last spoke. They're admitting they made a mistake.
There you are,
she said.
I told you I would fix.
Yes, you did. Ha ha ha. Poom, poom. Thank you for listening to that tale from the cliff edge, and thank you to Holly Cooper for supplying the voice of Marissa. Do you meet people you don't know whether they're joking or not? Best to nod and agree most of the time. See you next week. Or else. Poom. Poom.